Don's a great technician. Most of his work is based on seasonals. I've seen him come on the show and talk about things and then see him manifest more than once. Welcome back to Face, Don. How
Hey
you
Dale,
doing?
good, doing good, Dale. Thanks for having me back.
So great to have you. Are you still on the corn, the seasonal bottom? Looks like that you talked about that I saw on LinkedIn. You still on that trade?
That or it's not on a long. That corn, I believe corn still has just a little bit more to go lower.
Okay.
I guess it could get like this past week we had a little bit of talk about the pollination was having a little bit of issues, so there was what we call the old dead cat bounce. But that trend is obviously down, and trying to pick a bottom in that market right now is kind of dangerous because it just everything is doing good for corn. This past week
Okay.
I was driving down through Central Virginia and going through a lot of farmland, and I mean it was just corn was out to the side of the road. I mean, not
Wow.
not out in just a field. It was coming up to the side of the road. So there's corn everywhere. So I
Okay.
don't see corn having any kind of a lively rally. I mean, everything's been really good for corn this year for growth.
Okay. Beans came off. They had a little three drive to a bottom last week and rallied pretty sharply.
Yeah,
Any?
if you
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
the bean market seems to be a little bit more congested than what the corn market. The corn market's got a really nice daily trend. It just keeps that 50 SMA keeps a beautiful downtrend going with it. But the soybean market's been very difficult to get a sort of a longer term trend in. Good
Okay.
swing trading. I mean, a good range bound market, but I don't see a real trend in that market right now.
All right. Well, Don, if you share your screen, I'll stop guessing with what you're with what's on the docket for you. Could it be gold?
That sounds good. You hit it. There we go.
All
Talk a little
right.
bit
Well,
about this.
it took two mulligans, but I got it off the tee. All right.
There
Go
we
ahead.
go. So yeah, this is an article I just written. Matter of fact, if I just take you back here to bar charts
Yeah.
homepage
So
here.
that's where you find Don. And that's a social media presence. A
Yeah,
lot of
I
people
actually,
use bar chart. Go ahead.
I have a Twitter or X account that tells you how much I do with social media. I still call it Twitter, but it's
Okay.
at Majestic Futures is the
Okay.
handle that I
Do you
use.
use it much? Do you post there much?
Mostly just posting my articles on there, and then just following some of the other like grain companies and stuff like that to get a feel for what they're looking at. I like reading what commercials do. That seems to
Yeah.
me drives the markets quite a bit. So I like kind of knowing what they're doing. So that's what I like to follow
Okay.
on social
So
media.
in the gold, commercials have net short positions here.
Yeah, no, actually, commercial main they usually do. So mostly like your central banks basically would be considered commercials. Then you got
Oh
your
yeah.
miners and stuff like that. People who produce the gold. That's who would basically looking to do most of the selling in here. And then you got occasionally you got the jewelers and stuff coming in. But most of the time you see commercials on the short side, which tells you it's most of the producers who are doing the hedging. And the same thing with the
Okay.
swap dealers. You see them mostly on the short side as well.
Okay.
But anyway, on this, if somebody wants to follow me on some of my articles here on Bar Chart, they're free to get to, but it's barchart.com. And then when you get to this page, it's just underneath where it says news up here at the top bar. You can click on that. And then over here on the left where it's featured authors, my name's somewhere right down in here. I'll get to number one day. And there we go. And so that's got a list of all my articles that are archived on here, going way about 2.5, 2 years back of articles that I write, and usually write one per week. But this is the one I'm going to be looking at right here, and that is on the gold market.
Okay.
And I found this one, I wrote about it because this is one of the probably, I'm a seasonality type of a trader. I like to look at seasonal patterns. It doesn't
Right.
mean that I just, if there's a seasonal buy or a seasonal sell, it doesn't mean I just buy based on that. But I like to use them for kind of a screener, for a commodity screener. And it kind of gives me an idea that, okay, this market's primed to go up or down, but let's see if we can find some supporting technical facts, for example. If the fundamentals support it, that's even better. But mostly I like to make sure there's an uptrend or a downtrend based on whatever the seasonal pattern is, because I am a trend follower. But with the gold
Okay.
market, they have a very good traditional July rally basically into August. And it's such a solid time of the year for long positions in gold. Now, as we all know, gold's had a pretty good run up over the last year or so. And that's what basically beginning the article is talking about how once we took out $2,000 per ounce, it just
Yeah.
went straight on up here to 3509 basically, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's been kind of interesting. I mean, here's a week chart, and it's got the 50 SMA on there as well. And again, I'm a trend follower, so I give the benefit of the doubt to the trend. Like I never try and pick tops and bottoms, but again, that's just my style of trading. But what I've noticed on this one though is when you go back even further in time on this weekly chart, the 50 SMA, for example, prices get a certain distance away from their mean, which is an average
Okay.
price, and then it tends to want to gravitate back. But if we look at this recent rally since we took 2000 out, look how far it
Yeah.
stays away from that 50. It just says, man, something, this market wants to come back and test his mean at some point,
Where is that coming in? Around 29?
It looks like it is, yeah, somewhere's up in there.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's some
And
targets around there. So perhaps in towards the end of this month, we only have a week or so left. That August could be that time frame where it tries
towards the
to
end of
revert.
towards the end of August might not be a bad idea either. So, but
Yeah.
anyway, I just wanted to kind of pull this one out. I mean, it's definitely since that 2000 breakout here, and man, it's just been going like a freight train this way. And now it's interesting because it's been going sideways here, and that's not unusual because I think the last time we were on your show or time before, we were talking about gold, and we were talking about how it usually peaks out there in March, and that's traditionally that's what we. Let me just pull this seasonal pattern back up here really quick. Here we go. So this blue line right here represents a 15-year seasonal pattern, and this is from a company called More Research. So where I get my
Yeah, I know
seasonal
it.
analysis from.
Yeah.
But basically, you get this beautiful rally. This is another really good traditional time of buying the metals, especially gold, is that January through March timeframe. And then it did the same thing last year. I remember being on your show and we talked about it there. But the market goes into a correction after March. Now, remember, corrections can be down or sideways. And if you look
Right.
at it, that's pretty much what we've been doing, just went sideways since March. Now, here's where we get that typical that it starts basing here in July, but you see this August rally right here. This is a pretty good rally we had. It's pretty consistent too, and it's 15-year average right there. And so this is what I was writing about this month or this week and wanted to talk about because it's such a good run. Now, it's a little tired maybe from this big run here, but traditionally we still get another peak here. So to me, I don't like to predict anything, but we are still in an uptrend. So this old high, I think that's still in play here, to tell you the truth. But we'll have to see. I don't like to predict or anything. I mean, if the trend, the daily trend for me right now is just sideways, and I'm waiting for it to start making some highs here so we can get on board. But I really do like this pattern that's coming in here. So the other thing I've noticed too is, and I just left the
So
art
you still
side.
like the long side for a
I do
while?
for this period, this short period right here, and then we rally up into this like because remember September 30th, which is where this ends here, is the end of the U.S. government's fiscal year. So basically, what ends up happening during that time, the 10-year Treasury yield, for example, it
Could
does
go
what
up.
price does this, but the yield goes down during this same period here, year after year, as we come into that September 30th. And the reason for that is the government just isn't issuing quite as many notes and bonds coming into the end of their fiscal year. So this is just another pattern that happens every year. So remember, when rates go down, that's bullish for gold. That's how part of this pattern, I believe, developed over the years. So that's why
Okay.
I kind of like this pattern.
So I'm a little confused. We think there could be a mean reversion,
I
but you're
do.
still bullish now, and we can make new highs before that mean
Yeah, I'm bullish
reversion.
for this let's call it relatively short duration here. I like this end of July period right here, but coming right on up into that August period, this is just such a bullish time that I have a feeling, especially with the other metals already hopping on board for a big bull
Yeah,
run or half.
yeah.
I think the gold does have its shot at possibly coming up here and making this new high. After
All right.
that, I have a feeling that's where we're probably going to start seeing that mean reversion.
You think
As
it, do you track the dollar, Don? Do you think it could have anything to do with a lot of this move in gold,
Yep,
although it's rallied against all fiats, including the Swiss.
yep.
Do you think that there's a possibility of a dollar bottom? Do you have anything seasonal in currencies?
Yeah, it's interesting because on the dollar right now, it's still, in my opinion, we've still got that on a daily downtrend. If you put a 50 SMA on that, for example, you'll see we're coming up and kissing that downtrending 50 right now. So
Okay.
that could actually tie in with this little run up right here. If we get a
All right.
little slide,
One more
a little
down
bit
in
more
the
down on the
dollar.
dollar,
Yeah. Okay.
and then we get this little spurt up in here. So the timing of it is kind of ironic how that's working out.
Now
But
it's
anyway,
a coinkydink.
there you go.
What a coinkydink, huh? Uh,
Exactly. But
All
the other thing
right.
that was kind of interesting here is, and I don't use RSI relative strength index, on an everyday basis or anything, but I do like to look at it on these bigger pictures like this. And when I did this graph that was already on MRCI, here's the 50 period or 50% range down here. And normally
Yeah.
in these bull markets, it's ironic how the RSI returns back to around that 50% of an RSI, and you get a bounce,
Right.
right? And look where
Right.
we bounced. We came right back down to here. And this is where we're at with this
Right.
little sideways congestion. So here we are at halfway back on that RSI that in the past has given us 3 bounces already. So it's interesting how the seasonal is lining up with this in the big picture. So now the thing that's got me a little concerned here, and that's why I think this is going to be really short lived on this rally up here. And this also kind of goes into the idea right here of in the last 15 years, you can see that 1, 2, 3, 4 of those years, based off this seasonal pattern we're talking about, never had a daily closing drawdown. All right. And it averages
Okay.
about 47 points over this last 15 years on the profitable trades. Now, again, this is all based off hypothetical trades. So there's no guarantees. But boy, when you see this pattern year over year, you start looking, okay, how can I get into this thing? But up here,
Well, everybody who remembers me interviewing Alexander Perna,
oh, yeah.
Alexander wants Don to leave his seasonal work to him in his will. Um, so, people love Don's seasonal work. That's why you need to follow him. Goes back to, Jake Bernstein days, right, buddy?
Oh man, you're not
Or,
kidding,
or
Jake.
before, or
Yeah,
before. Walter
yeah,
Bressert.
man. Oh, you are going back in time. Yes. Uh-huh.
Uh, how about
Yeah.
Jesse Livermore? I had lunch with him once.
Yeah. That's a good book,
All
but yep.
right, go ahead, bro.
So what I wanted to look at here was who's in control of this market. And again, this is what I like to do with my seasonal analysis. It starts with it's on a watch list now, right? Because of this seasonal pattern. So now I'm looking for some fundamentals and some technical support this bullish pattern. So right now it's looking pretty good technically, but this little picture here is a little ominous. And I think this is what's going to help that push back towards the mean here after we get this next run up here in July. But this is the commitment of traders report that I like to look at here. And this is the managed money picture right here. And basically, it's what they call the disaggregated commitment of traders report. And it comes out once a week, and it comes out on Friday, but it goes from Tuesday to Tuesday's reporting. But what I wanted to show you here is managed money are typically trend followers because they
Yeah,
have so much money, they got to put it into the market and they can't get in and out because they have such a big size. So they're not
yeah.
very nimble for getting out of their position. They have to scale in and scale out. So what I wanted to
Okay.
show you here was an interesting picture. This is the move back here in November 2022, and this yellow line is the price. And this is available on the CME's website too, guys. If you want to go in there and look at it for free, it's a good way to follow the markets
Money
basically.
flow. Yeah.
But here is the yellow is the price. Now notice here, and the blue bars coming up is managed money adding new longs. Now remember, this isn't net, this is gross positions, okay? The red
Okay.
represents their short positions, and the green is their spreading positions, which is not anything that we're concerned with today. But look what's happening here. When the market rallied and we got this peak put in here, we put in, here's the high watermark, if you will, of long positions by managed money. And then when the price breaks this previous high back over here, new
They
managed
pile
money
in.
came in.
Yeah.
Then when we broke this high back over here, new managed money came in at that peak. I think it was around 2,500. I put that number on here somewhere, but it was around
That
$2,500.
was last fall, right?
Yes, okay.
Okay.
And then look, when the price makes the new high over here,
They're not adding.
it wasn't new money coming in. Look at this, another new
Yeah,
high. It's not
not
the big
adding.
money, not the strong hands, unfortunately. Now, I went and I looked again at the commercials. I looked at the swap dealers. I said, who's buying? Who's buying? Unfortunately, here's
Is
who's
the
been
pub
buying
the little guy?
the non-reportables. Now, I do want to clarify because a lot of people think non-reportables are like just retail traders, but they're not necessarily. These could be bigger traders, just don't, maybe they're diversified across their portfolio and they only have a certain amount of money allocated towards the gold market, for example. So it could be bigger traders, but they're just not trading over the reportable size. Okay. But the point I just want to point out, this is not just retail traders, which is what I think that's a fallacy people have when they see non-reportables.
Well, they
But
used to call it small specs, large specs, commercials.
exactly right.
Now they have different labels, right?
They do, because a disaggregated report is broken
Okay.
down in different categories. So that's why I
Yeah.
just want people to know, doesn't mean just retail, but it's still relatively small positions. But here, if you'll notice, during that same rally, these guys just keep adding. And now that we've been coming up in here, see, they're still buying at new
Yeah.
highs, at this new highs up here. So in my opinion, it's not going to take much. If this thing starts to wobble and roll over, these guys will probably be the first to run. And that's probably what's going to start the catalyst to the downside. So this could be what's going to be that beginning of the mean reversion after this seasonal pattern here. Because I still think we got at least a little pop up to our new high here. And then
Well,
who's waiting for us up there?
I dare you to tweet that. You'll get a lot of hate responses if you say anything negative about gold.
Oh,
So that'll tell
yeah.
that yeah, that'll tell you something about what sentiment is. If you even talk about a correction,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. But you
I had
maybe,
one guy say because I'm looking for one, Dale, why don't you delete that tweet? So instead of that, I blocked him. So
well, I mean,
anyway,
if you're a professional in this business, you do know that corrections are healthy for a market. That when you
mhm,
don't get a correction, the correction when it goes up, 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 when it does finally correct, they're not pretty, right? So I'd rather have a more normal market where it does have typical corrections. For
yeah,
one, it gives you an opportunity if you want to add to a position, or
right,
it just kind of makes that market healthy. Keeps it out of
yeah,
the doctor's office. Is that no apple a day or whatever?
yeah.
Anyway, so, but that's what I'm seeing on the gold market right now, and it's pretty much just kind of broke it all down into this particular article right here. And this is that seasonal pattern. I just love it. This one, that January up through that March, and then this July. These are my two times of the year I really get interested in gold. My
Okay,
rest of the time, as far as a swing trading position, I get interested in
okay.
it. But that's
Don,
what's
what really some very interesting tells, especially that the big guys are not adding like they did at new
yeah,
highs, and the
yeah,
little guys are continuing to pile in.
right, and no one
And
else
those
is, right?
those
Yeah.
big guys are central banks, right? So I mean, no one's reported. They're part of the big guys. No one's reported that
Well,
central banks have stopped buying.
yeah.
So that's interesting that you could see that because wouldn't that show up in the
Well, you would
data?
see that they would come under either swap dealers or
Okay,
commercial activity
okay.
because they'd be hedging basically in there. But
Oh,
this managed money or your hedge funds, commodity trading advisors,
CTAs, yeah, yeah,
institutions, even at that point, right? So, when they're
right.
managing money, like the Goldmans, Merrills, and all that stuff. So that's who your managed money is coming in from those sides.
Okay,
But
I have
they're
one
huge.
question. If you want to take it before we wrap, Will wants to know if you have any view on wheat,
I'm
something
sorry,
biblical,
can
something
you
biblical. Are we going to need Joseph to store some wheat for down the road?
some wheat?
Yeah,
Um, I
it's okay if you have no opinion.
Yeah, I don't really, and we're talking about the wheat market, right? The grain
Yeah,
market. Yeah.
yes,
The wheat market is just, I found it's the most difficult grain for me to have a technical
interesting.
opinion on. I can follow
Yeah,
soybeans, I can follow corn, but the problem with wheat is it's produced in so many places in the world, unlike corn and soybeans. Basically, North America, South America for
yeah,
soybeans, and North
yeah,
America is the largest producer of corn, right? It's very
right.
easy to keep up with that. But when wheat is produced in so many places around the world,
Argentina,
yeah, I mean Russia,
Ukraine.
France,
Yeah,
everywhere.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it just gets a very difficult market to wrap your head around. Even on the COT reports and stuff like that, it's very difficult. It's been in a downtrend. I mean, it's been a weak market. Wheat has been weak, so it's just it doesn't seem to get much traction anywhere at this time, anyway.
Okay, appreciate that, Don. Yeah, not the weed market. Yeah, they would ask me that question. So,
No,
okay, so Don, best way for people to follow your excellent, I think, elite work from a veteran. Go to bar chart. Um, as really the best place to see all your stuff. You
Like
also
it,
post on LinkedIn a lot, right?
yeah,
That's one you're
on LinkedIn, but I would say the Twitter or X account is where I put all these articles in there too. So if it's easier for somebody to follow me on Twitter or X, I get it right one day. But
okay. Well, will you do me a favor and follow me at Forex Stop Hunter so I have you?
you
I
do.
don't know
We'll
if you
work.
do
Yeah,
it.
yeah. We
And
follow each other. Yeah.
okay, because then I could announce you next time you're here. We could announce your handle because
Oh, okay.
since we've been together, I've just been listing your name. So,
Okay.
give me your handle and you'll get more followers that way when you're on.
Oh,
Okay?
cool. Okay.
And
That
we could
sounds great.
communicate there and have a bromance and tell the world how great we each are. Okay?
There we go.
Don, always a pleasure talking to you, and uh, always a pearl or two that you bring to the table. So, thank you, my trading warrior brother.
All right. Thank you very much, Dale. Enjoyed being here, and good luck with everybody's trading out there, and be safe.
All right, Don Dawson, everybody, keep an eye on the gold, and that's going to be a wrap for me. Remember, don't just count your coins and bars and your your grains, whatever it is, count your blessings. See everyone for Turnaround Tuesday. Thank you, Mandy, and we'll see everyone later. All right, you could join the team in about 18 minutes, 19 minutes on the morning edge. So uh, you need to get the edge, and Don Dawson brought you an edge in gold today. That's why we do it. Follow the man. Adios, everyone. Thanks again, Don.
Hey traders, this is Blake Morrow with Forex Analytix. Thanks for stopping by our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like these videos, share them, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of the content that we provide here for free. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in the next video.